Hey guys, welcome to the Field of 68 YouTube channel. If you like what you see here, hit that subscribe button and you'll get more college basketball content just like this.
RC, want to start with you. You've been in Memphis. You've seen this team up close and personal. First week in the top 10 this late in the season since John Calipari was on the sidelines. That ain't going to last very long. How devastating is this for Memphis and their resume moving forward?
I don't think I wouldn't use the word devastating. I think it's the concern we had. The only concern that I had with Memphis is what they're going to do when somebody plays them zone. It's no secret. 3-point shooting has been their kryptonite. So will they play a team like tonight? When South Florida went man, they were carving them up early. And then they started going to the zone. And then that's just what meant. That's the only thing that you're going to be able to line up with. They got too many bodies. They got too much talent, so much depth. They're going to wear teams down. I'm not concerned. But they're going to have to spend time working on their zone. They just can't walk into a gym and find out if it's making shots because they're going to have to grind some games out like that. And more importantly, they're going to have to figure it out against the zone. And that was just all this game was. They were rolling along.
Yep.
The zone came in, the matchup just slowed everything down, made them play in a half court, and tried to make them shoot jump shots. And they just didn't make them. And like I said, that wasn't Memphis' strength from the jump. So I'm not going to use the word devastating to their resume. They're not going to fall but so much. They're still legit. I think we all believe in what they are. But every team has weaknesses. 3-point shooting is Memphis' weakness. They just couldn't. I thought they would be able to do better defensively and kind of jump, run and jump and create more turnovers. And kind of, they always seem to find that run in games like this. And tonight they just weren't able to do it. And
Yep.
just look at the last play. I don't know if it was Jordan. Somebody cut baseline, and if I'm them, I'm thinking the same thing. You hit 2-game winners, Javon, take the shot. We run the ISO. We're not running the play. They want you to take that shot. And then, so that's one play. Then they come up on the next end of the floor, and 2 guys run to 1 guy, leave him wide open. They have to foul. So just mental errors at the end right there, stuff that they'll clean up and get back on. When you get on runs and you win, multiple games like this, it's hard to keep the kids locked in on that too. And so I'm not going to sit there and take anything away from Memphis. I think they're still ridiculously talented, but they do have a weakness, a glaring weakness, and it's 3-point shooting.
Well, Matt, let's talk about, the peril that is the AAC. And look, I know that you can you can look into it and you can say that there are teams that are probably better than the nation may perceive, but it is what it is ultimately when it comes to the reputation of the league. It's Memphis, it's FAU, and when you take a home loss, to a middle of the pack AAC team, I just wonder how punitive you think the committee might be, because the computers still are not there on Memphis either. The computers are way lagging the top 10 ranking. I mean, Ken Palm, you name it, 40s, 50s. So I guess when you talk about the perception of, and FAU is going to have the same problem, by the way, right? And we'll get to them. But when you play in a league where, if you're UCF or you're in the, the ACC or whoever, and you leave and you go to a league where you can knock somebody off on Tuesday, you could chase that bad loss with a top 25 team. You don't get those chances in the AAC. So, what does this take you from a 4 to a 7? I mean, just how bad do you think it is?
Well, it's so hard too, because you look at the way Penny scheduled this year. Okay. Played at Missouri, Michigan, Arkansas, Villanova, at Ole Miss, at VCU, at Texas A&M, Clemson, and Virginia, and Vanderbilt, okay, in the non-league. So you're talking about 10 Power 5 teams, and he's not being rewarded with that because of the numbers, because of the metrics, because he hasn't necessarily blown out teams, or Memphis hasn't necessarily blown out teams, which is – it's crazy to think about. Like, think about those 10 teams. Like, if you lined up that schedule before the season against a lot of other teams, like Texas A&M was picked to win the league. Nobody thought Arkansas would struggle the way that they've struggled this year. People were really high on Missouri, and they played them in their place. Played Michigan, Villanova. Like, Ole Miss, I don't know if anybody had the expectations for Ole Miss, but still, it's Ole Miss and it's on the road and it's a rivalry game because the schools are too, very close. So it's just crazy to see their schedule and to see that they're still Ken Palm and the metrics and all these. They're not being rewarded for that. That's why sometimes these numbers, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. But look, I think tonight's game, they score 112 points on the road at Wichita State. They come home and they're saying, hey, we're going to be okay. We're playing at home. We're playing against USF, who's not one of the better teams in the league. So we're going to be okay. And then all of a sudden, the ball's not going in. You find yourself in a dogfight. And guess what? Guess what these coaches in the league are doing? They're listening to what we're saying. And when we come on the field of 68 and we talk about that conference, we talk about two teams. We talk about FAU and we talk about Memphis. We don't talk about anybody else. So if I'm an opposing coach, I'm taking these clips and I'm showing my team to try and light a fire underneath my team. And that's what's happening. I mean, we're not even talking about North Texas. North Texas is undefeated. Charlotte's got an interim head coach right now, and they're 4-1 at the top of the standings in the league. So these two teams are getting everybody's best shot every single night. So when you go on the road and you score 112 points and you turn around and you come play at home against a team you think we're going to be okay against, you're going to get beat. And that's the parody of college basketball.
Last thing on Memphis before we get to FAU, because Penny had some very odd comments, RC, that I want to run by you. It was the largest blown lead by an AP top 10 team in 14 years. That was 20, I believe it was in the first half. But after the game, Penny said things along the lines of, everybody's so talkative when the game is going good. There's talking. When the game is going bad, there's talking. And the negativity of the talk starts to weigh on the team. We're in the huddles. And instead of talking about the other team, we're trying to square things up between ourselves. It's become too much. He mentioned inner things. How disturbing is that to hear? Is it just one of those things where winning kind of hides all that, and then when it's as ugly as this, everything just kind of comes to the forefront? And what is the responsibility of Penny to figure this out?
I mean, what Penny's dealing with is what everyone is dealing with when you bring this many guys in. And listen, the one thing we know for a fact is he seems to have a really good pulse of this group. He's very honest with them. He tells them like it is. He's very direct with them, and this is common. I think a lot of people are still trying to figure their teams out. And then he adds a Mace at the end of the semester with Tomlin coming in there. Now you're trying to figure him out, and he loses, Caleb Mills, and he has to readjust his lineup to that. So he's still adjusting on the fly, trying to figure it out like everyone else is. But again, coming into the day, he was 15-2, and now he's 15-3 with that non-conference schedule. There's not 5 teams in the country that scheduled that, and I don't know if anyone scheduled it. I think Carolina's another one that scheduled a crazy non-conference schedule. Most of the teams aren't, and I think it's something that must be addressed because the narrative of what some of these teams are doing, like with the net and all this other stuff, it's a joke because when all we hear come March is quad 1 wins, quad 1 versus quad 2 and quad 3 and quad 4. But teams that let's pull up the net and start pulling up the net and look at the schedule of the teams at the top of the net. You're talking about they're getting rewarded for beating the brakes off teams, the bye games that they're supposed to beat them.
Right.
And then that's the formula that gets you, so that's the formula that gets you. So now we were sitting here joking about the Big Ten and everybody's just assuming they're going to get 7 or 8 or 9 teams in it. And you talk about the Pac-12, like if you're judging off the net, I'm wondering how are we going to field the tournament? Because all I hear is the Pac-12 and you got it's Arizona, it's Colorado, maybe Oregon, maybe 3 teams. Now you got the ACC. You're going to say what is Carolina, Duke, and maybe a 3rd or 4th team. The Big Ten, forget the projections. Like, where is all this coming from?
The whole system is flawed, RC.
That's my point. It's a joke
because small schools can't do that.
Thank you for watching the Field of 68. If you've enjoyed what you've seen here, hit that like button, share this link with your friends, or check out the description for some other places that you can consume Field of 68 content.